Hello and welcome to From Our Perspective to Therapist Moms and a Mic. I'm Claudia.
I'm Katie, and
And
we are here live today with Yvette Smith, and we're so excited to talk with her. This is really, I made an Instagram post today about how excited we are about kind of just this new season that we are in. It's springtime. We are in our second year of this podcast, and kind of made some promises to you guys that we were going to expand the topics we were going to talk about. We were going to be a little bit more just I don't know, spontaneous in some of what we're talking about. We're going to have more guests, and today is just a really fun way to kick off the spring. So Yvette, do you want to introduce yourself to our listeners, and you can just share, whatever you want, however you want for people to know you?
Well, hello, ladies. I am Oracle Mrs. Smith, and I'm so excited and so honored that y'all are having me be the launch to maybe some different topics and subjects and everything. And I'm just super happy to be here and to answer all y'all's questions about a fortune teller and what we do and what we see and where we go, So I appreciate y'all being so open-minded and having me on the show. So I'm super excited, ladies.
yay.
Yes, we're excited. So is that your moniker? Is that what you call yourself, a fortune teller?
People do that. So now I just go with it. I'm an oracle, I'm a clairvoyant. Those are big words for people. Okay, mediumship, a medium, but those like, you're a fortune teller. So, even though it pains me a bit, that's what people really know. They know a palm reader. They recognize that sign with a palm reader, and when they see fortune teller, they understand that. But is it a little bit of a little kick in the stomach? Yeah, it's like a little slap. She's a fortune teller. But I see myself a little bit more serious as a medium and cartomancy, a cartomancer. I really foretell the future and communicate with spirit. So fortune teller that's what people can digest. Then I'll use that, I guess, tagline, But really, I'd like to think of myself a little bit more than, I think of fortune teller like it's a carnival. Dun, 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 dun. Hey, come get a tarot card reading with Mrs. Missy. But people understand that, people get that. It's not scary. It's comfortable. But I would hope that we can advance a little bit. But I consider myself a paranormal medium and really a spirit communicator, a facilitator. But like I said, those are big words, and people just want their future told. So some of them don't want to get all deep. I understand that. So it's been quite a journey, 25 years of doing readings.
Wow, 25 years.
How do you start on that path? Like what's your origin story? How did you even know you could do this?
Well, in a nutshell, I don't agree, but I was really groomed, and I'm a Catholic-based Hispanic family, so I'm baptized Catholic, went to Catholic school. I consider myself a Catholic, and at 9 years old, I started, one of my aunts gave me the majors of a tarot card deck. And I was 9 years old. And she said, look at these pictures and tell me what you see. And I think I had them for like 6 months, at 9.5. And I identified with all the major arcana. And my aunts would ask me, what does this mean to you? She's a sad lady. Or he's a madman, whatever. As a little child, Then she gave me the rest of the tarot card deck, and maybe another 6 months. And she would ask me, well, how do you feel when you see this card? How do you feel when these are together? And I really thought it was a game of some sort. And so I was, I'm Pisces moon, Scorpio. So I'm naturally, as a child, I was very imaginative and everything. And I was able to just pick up doing cartomancy and, playing cards and tarot cards. And by the time I was 11, I had adult clients come to me. So that's why 25 years, it was really, and when I look back on it, I was too young. I was way too young. And, but I don't know if that's Hispanic family. It's very, Catholic, and then also Santeria, and you work with Santa Muerte and different saints, and they combine Catholicism with maybe the occult. So I'm going to church, I'm loving the nuns, I'm enjoying it, and then I get to read these really pretty cards, and I'm using feelings, and I'm learning about numerology and I didn't know that, and a child is just so open, like, what a fun game. I'm so good at it,
Yeah.
And 11 years old, adult women would be crying, asking me about their husbands. Are my husband going to leave me? And I would just pull 3 cards. I had a candle. They would set it all up for me. And I would just have to sit down and do readings. I thought it was just, I was helping people. I don't know why they're crying. I don't know why they're hugging me. And then that's it. That was like almost a type of grooming. So I believe, I'm a staunch believer that no one under 18 should mess with anything with the occult. I think enjoy your childhood, go to high school, focus on normal things. And when you're 18, if you're called by spirit and you have some prophetic dreams and you're whatever it is, then it's your adult journey. But as a 9-year-old, it shaped and changed my whole, I think my destiny. But at the time, I just, ever since I can remember, I've had a line of people waiting. And to this day, I still have a line of people waiting for reading. So maybe it, changed my destiny or steered it to fate, Depends how you see it. It depends how you see it, It's made me self-sufficient financially. I don't have to work for anybody. I've worked for myself for 15 years. I don't, so I'm completely independent, by doing this. So it's been a financial blessing, really. But yeah, very unusual starts. I believe there's grooming in a lot of different ways. And this was spiritualism mixed with Catholicism and occult. So everything was okay. No Ouija boards. It wasn't anything like that. It was tarot cards, divination, pendulums, automatic writing, seances, like that. And as a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old, an 11-year-old, I should not have been exposed to that, I think. So, and y'all are therapists. Am I traumatized? Tell me, am I traumatized?
Well, right, because you end up dealing with things that are so much bigger than you. And as a small person with, some knowledge of not a lot of influence and control in your world and environment, right? Like you don't even have the developmental ability to process probably some of the things that came your way because you've got talent in this area, but you've got a kid brain that you can't fast forward because that's just, where you are.
Exactly.
Well, it's interesting, right? As therapists, we have this term we talk about often called holding space, right? And that's what's coming up for me is listening to you and Claudia. Kind of you reflect that, and it's almost like your capacity at that age, that 9-year-old, that 10, 11-year-old on up, you didn't have that capacity. You had the ability, but you didn't have the capacity to hold the space for these adult people, all their feelings, all their adult scenarios that you haven't been exposed to yet.
Yes. And I would just read what I saw in the cards. And so I guess I was very blunt or honest, a child's honesty. So I didn't understand while some women would cry or laugh or, agree or, they made appointments and they paid for readings from me. I wonder now, like, who took that money? Like, what happened to that? Now they're all dead. My mother, my father, my aunts. I'm the only one alive. They've all died. But I wonder who booked me. Like, where was my mom? What was my dad thinking about that? Maybe my dad was at work, maybe all the time. But it was all approved by the madrinas and my aunts, and my mother knew about it. So they considered it like a prodigy. I was a prodigy child. But it, I look back now and that was kind of messed up. So I just went with it all my life. That's it. 12 years old, 14 years old. I made trades. It helped me with prom. It helped me get married. It helped those readings, the money, the trades, all that. And I've met and helped, thousands of women through the years. My goodness, I couldn't even put a number on it. How many people that I believe I've helped, so it's always been positive. I don't do any type of black magic or negative, or even if they come to me and they'll ask, I want so and so to get what they deserve and all that stuff, and they just need a talking to. Really, they just need a talking to, and I'll just sit with them and give them a consultation, and we'll talk and everything. And sometimes I don't even pull a card. That's why I think I'm some initiated therapist now, because they just really needed someone to talk rationally to them, and why that was such a terrible idea to do such a horrible curse on baby daddy, because you're just angry now, but that's selfish. You got children with him, and you want these bad things to happen to him, and that's gonna trickle to your children, gonna trickle to your family. You're gonna curse your whole family. So I have to explain those things. When you do such actions with magic, magic's real, because you've got intent and emotion, and you're calling spirit to curse somebody. That absolutely is real, absolutely. But the repercussions, it's like an earthquake 10, and then you have all the aftershocks. So I don't mess with any of that. I know the magic. I don't do that magic because I know what happens afterwards. So when someone comes to me like that, I absolutely steer them to not do that. I'll say, let's bless him with a job in Alaska. Let's send a blessing to him, and he gets transferred to Japan. Like that. That's okay. Because you just give him his dream job, but in Italy. And that way y'all are far enough from each other. And that's how I, can deter stuff like that. But that's how desperate people will come to me like that. I got a piece of his hair, and I want this to happen to him. And I'm like, Lord have mercy, Sit down, girl. Let's talk. Let's have some coffee.
Talk you down.
Let's turn on the air condition.
Yikes.
Let's off, But
I love.
so every reading is unique. Every reading is unique.
I love that you tie your origins in with the Catholic Church, because I think that so often in our culture there is a dichotomy present, at least in people's minds, between religion, Christianity, godliness, and spirituality, or you use the term occult, right? And I wonder what your opinions are about that, having come out of Catholic origins, but also having this beautiful blend with the Hispanic culture, where there is more recognition to ancestors and days celebrate the people who have passed, and more maybe rituals, right, than, let's say, like, I grew up Southern Protestant. We didn't light candles and pray to Saint fill in the blank, right? We very different kind of a culture, right? So I'm curious, is it a dichotomy, or is it not a dichotomy?
I think that just speaking for all the Catholics I know and my family, my Hispanic family, that when Catholics are true Catholics, and I consider myself a true Catholic, we absolutely honor our ancestors. It is in us to celebrate their life. We have ancestor altars, because without our ancestors, we would not be who we are, where we are today. So we actually really love to honor them. Catholics and Hispanics, every good Hispanic Catholic will have an ancestor altar, and I do as well. And then you add for me, the Mexican element with the folk saints, and they're real, because the best way I can say is, when you have enough people, it's like a poltergeist. You ever heard of a poltergeist, like in a haunting, in a house? A poltergeist really is not a ghost, but it was created because everyone in the house focused on this energy that it must be a ghost, must be a ghost, must be a ghost. Guess what? They created a fucking ghost. Okay. So the Mexican culture have made their own saints. And because thousands and thousands and thousands have prayed to this saint, it created the saint. And they've got statues you buy in Mexico of these saints. And so personally, that part I've seen, but I only work with spirit that have come to me in a dream. And Santa Muerte has come to me in my dreams several times, and it's because she's just part of our family lineage. But the other saints that the Mexicans will work with, since they didn't come to me in a dream, I don't work with them. But other Hispanic people will work with all of them because it's part of their culture. I believe in they got to contact me. So I honor my ancestors. I honor my saints. The angels, archangels only that are mentioned in the Bible. There are a lot of made up angels as well. And then the Mexican saints that have visited me in dreams. So I have like over 20 altars and different sacred space. So it's all intertwined, and we really believe it. That is our path. It is magic. We go, it's like God is very, very busy. This is how Catholics see it, and Hispanic. God is booked. God is the president, okay? Jesus is the vice president. He's real, real busy. All them little children with leukemia, parents are praying Jesus for a miracle. Jesus is busy. So the saints and the archangels will take our prayers and our daily pleas for help in this material world. Whether we need a job, we need protection, we need a message. Gabriel sends us a message. We need a healing. We call Archangel Raphael. We work with the saints and the angels because Jesus, unless it's an emergency, like cancer, we don't call on Jesus unless it's like 911. That's what the saints and the angels are for. And God, how we see it, that's got to be super, maybe like just once a month I talk to God because he's so busy, and Jesus, I'm not going to tell Jesus that I need to get booked over Easter weekend. He don't care. Jesus is saving little children, and he's like saving car wrecks, and like he's busy. Jesus is super booked. He don't care how much money we make and things like that. If we get that man we like, people pray to Jesus for everything, wasting his time. Catholics, we go through our saints and our angels and our ancestors for our material things. And if God forbid it clicks into somebody with Alzheimer's in the family diagnosed, or they're dying, or cancer, then we start praying the rosary to Virgin Mary and Jesus. We go to them for 911. And that's the best way I can kind of describe my family or the Catholicism, how we view it. And is that very strange to hear, or is that what you expected?
I
I mean,
don't
for me,
think for us,
yeah.
but maybe I think for some it could be.
But I think it's cool.
Okay.
But another kind of objection or fear that people have when it comes to things like this, right, is that somehow you are worshiping, quote unquote, right, like oh gosh, Satan, right? Or you are praying to false gods, right? Or you are somehow tapping into things that are not of God. And what you're saying is that it's more like God's got a committee out there, right? And there are hierarchies and different people tasks, and everybody's on the same team. That it is all of God, and kind of divinely orchestrated, and that it's funny because when I left, I don't know, well, I guess I'll share with our readers briefly. I met you when you were doing a reading down in Panama City at Baywitch, which is a super cool
yes, a Baywitch.
Which kind of a very synchronicity type of story that got me there. But when I left that day on my way home, Claudia was one of the people that I immediately messaged. And I made sure to say, like, I called you my good witch. I was like, I met a good witch, right? Because like, just to kind of differentiate that this was clearly, it was very clear to me that it was all of the light, that nothing was dark or sinister or malicious, or, we weren't tapping into anything that was not to be tapped with.
Right.
If that makes any
Right.
sense.
And I helped you,
Yes.
get through that incident. And that's how many people, very similar to your story, have come to me that just need a little help from, if we have both our feet in this world only, and you only think of science and logic, then you really aren't that smart, because there really is a spiritual side to this life. There are archangels. We do have our ancestors. We're not supposed to raw dog this thing called Earth alone. They're here to help us, and the universe will send people to somebody to help, and so my archangels, my spirits that I work with, I believe that they send me people, women. Really 99% of the people I work with are women, all ages, all races, everything, you name it. And I do my best to help everybody, and whether it's a little bit of magic or just a little bit of just good advice, or how to pray. Sometimes people don't know how to pray or light a candle or what to do, and so I like to say I'm a facilitator, and I have them do the magic. I have them do the work, instead of saying, pay me and I'll light a candle on my altar for you. And see, that's what a lot of people will do. That's not ethical. The real teacher is a facilitator, and I have my clients do that work. They got to light their candle. They got to do whatever the recommendation is to bless their own. It's their house. They need to learn how to smudge it correctly, how to bless their own house, cleanse it spiritually. So that's what I would be, a facilitator. But there are a lot of witches or mambos, madrinas that would say, just pay me and I'll do a vigil for you. And they might very well do that. But that client didn't learn nothing, and they're probably still scared. And once they light the candles and they get some peace, they feel secure, they did it right, it's real magic out there, and they did it, it gives them a powerful, good feeling, and that's what I really like to do. If I'm going to help somebody, I give them a remedy. That's it. I either give them some recommendation, what to wear, what to do, what magic to do, but I put it in their hands, and now they're the magician, And occasionally I'll get somebody who says, "Oh, I don't want to mess with all that. Just tell me how much it is, and you do it for me." And when I get somebody like that, then I'll do it, because now I already know it's too much trouble. I'll just pay you. And there'll be some clients like that. And then I just go with, okay, this is the kind of person. This is, they don't want to do the work. I'm honest. I do it. I send pictures of the visual. I keep my word. But there are some people. But mainly I try to put it in the client's hands. And then that gives them control of the situation spiritually. They are the control. It's their house. It's their energy. It's their husband, their kids, their business. It's their house. They're really the magicians. I can advise them and give them links and tell them, this prayer or this candle or this magic or do this, do that. And I hope they do it. I think a lot of them do. I do. But that's what real power is. Knowledge is power. Not just me saying, I'm going to do it for you. Okay, for $80, I'll do it for you. What did anybody learn from that? So I don't think it'd be ethical. So,
Yeah. Well, and people are coming
that's
to you
my-
vulnerable, right? So something it's the same way with us as therapists, right? Like people come to us in some form of crisis or vulnerability or some pain point they're trying to manage or overcome. And there is a lot of, I was kind of thinking to myself as you were talking, like, yes, like you are an honorary therapist, right? Because that's what we do is I don't live my clients' lives for them, right? We talk about strategies and things they can do, but it's up to them to initiate and do all the work and go home and do these things or make the changes.
Yes, I knew it. Yeah, remedy. You give them a remedy too.
Yeah, but that is the empowerment, right? Because you're right. It's like, you're feeling vulnerable, you're feeling defeated, and you know, part of what we need to do is empower people.
And
Go ahead.
yes, and people will think they're crazy. They're like, I hear voices. I know there's something in this house. There's a haunting in this house. So I don't argue. They come to me and they say, hypothetically, well, this really happened, but you know, my house is haunted. Then I tell them, all right, then you need Palo Santo, you need some sandalwood, you need charcoal to burn it on, and they'll get the pieces, and I write it down, the directions, and I said, this will cast any evil spirit out, and then do the prayer of Archangel Michael. Thank you so much. And they'll see, they're ready to do the work. I'm not arguing with them like, oh, there are no demons in there. They believe it. If they believe it, it's either a poltergeist or it's a real spirit. No matter what, they're dealing with something that is supernatural. So I don't argue with that. I just give them the remedy. I help them, you know. Then, and then of course I get other types of people that say, I think I feel something. I think no. I get some people like, I know there's a shadow person in my room. What do I do? And other people just say, oh, you're crazy, or don't do. I say, oh, okay, all right, this is what you need. Here. You can use this in your kitchen. You can do this. Get some salt. You can bless it with this. See, and I just like, let's fix this. Let's you know. And I know I did it because then I never hear from them again.
Cured. Yeah. So how do you kind of touched on this before we recorded, but it was fascinating to me because I often sit with clients, and Katie and I just talked about this the other day. I think you were talking about we were talking about delusions, but I was like, but what if it's true, right? I don't know. Like, what if someone's delusions are not
Right.
delusions and are in fact true? And so for us
Yes.
in our field and the parameters around it, I do wish there was sometimes more space to hold more options in reality than I think sometimes our field allows for, right? Like maybe a hallucination is
Yeah.
not a hallucination, is in fact what is happening. But you see that too,
Right.
right? Like, because you also get
Yes.
mental health challenges. They just are coming to you from like a different approach. How do you
Yes.
know, well, you might have tools that I don't have to catch that. So how do you know if someone is in fact experiencing something supernatural or not?
I can see it on them. I could see it on them. I could see a spirit on them. And then we have a little talk. So if I see the spirit on them, fine. If I do not see a spirit on them, then I just have a light discussion. I swear to God, I ask them what kind of medication they're on. I'm just straightforward. And some of them will say, oh, I smoke weed every day, or I drink every day, or I'm bipolar and I'm on Seroquel and Klonopin. I've learned about so much drugs because of the clients. They're on Xanax. I just took one now. So now I know they're not high, but they're high. So they really will believe that delusion. But as a psychic, I'll see a negative spirit on somebody. And when I don't see it, I know they're on some type of drug. So they believe it, but it's induced by Ambien or too much Klonopin or Xanax, or they're mixing Seroquel and things like that. And then, so I think they are seeing something because that drug, who knows the side effects, you know what I mean? All I drink is coffee. I've learned not to I don't even smoke cigarettes. I don't got a tattoo, nothing. I just drink coffee and drink chamomile tea, go back and forth, water, because I've seen so much. So once I don't see spirit on them, then I know it's some type of addiction, or they're alcoholics. They are like working alcoholics. Like they can still hold a job, but they're drinking a bottle of wine every night, and then they're crying and they're calling me in the middle of the night. And I know that they're, and then during the day, they sound completely sober. So I've learned like that. So for people like that, I'll give them different tasks to do, you know, to say a certain prayer or just light a white candle and you'll be fine. And I don't, because I know that they're somehow inebriated or not sober or just medicated. There you go. And if you're medicated, you might hallucinate. So there's no arguing with them either, but I know that there is a negative spirit on them, because that I do see on people. I see a curse on people. I'll see a black spirit on them, a negative spirit. I'll see a demon on their shoulder. Those are the ones I can see. So when they come to me and they don't have it, I know it's something else.
Yeah.
And 9 out of 10, it's medication, or overdoing it, or it's just too many. When they start telling me it's Klonopin and Xanax and Trazodone or whatever, see, I've learned all the names because I'm bipolar, I'm this, or I'm dissociative something, neurodivergent, all that. They'll just tell me all their whole file, you know. And I was like, oh, and in my mind, I'm like, shit, you know, like I'm totally not equipped, you know. So I know that I got to just, you know, give them a simple task and make them feel better. And I'm not qualified to talk to somebody who's on all this type of medication. They don't need a fortune teller. They really need, you know, the therapy. They need y'all. They need y'all. They need y'all. But in a desperate or too much Xanax, they won't remember contacting me. See? So, or they're drunk and they don't remember. I call them back the next day to check on them. They're like, I didn't call you last night.
Oh, wow.
As my mother would say, ay, 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 oh my God, oh my goodness. I'll pray the Lord's Prayer, Jesus Christ, okay? So, yeah,
Wow.
25 years of this.
You said I can see a demon on them, or I can see something in their shoulder. This is a visual thing. You're able to perceive with your eyes. Is that right?
Yes, yes. They look different. They look different.
Wow.
They're people that have a spirit on them, and it's different if it's an addiction spirit. That one looks like a little shadowy spirit that just sits on their shoulder. So I know that they're an alcoholic, or I know it's some type of an addiction problem. And then if somebody's cursed, I just see that all over them. I can just see it. I can look in their eyes. I could see it. They look dead in their eyes, and big circles under their eyes, and their gauntness, and they're just humped over. So physically and spiritually, I see it. So if they don't come to me, I don't approach them. And most of the time, when they're that heavy with spirit of some curse, they do not come to me. They're lost in a fog spiritually. So I don't seek them out. I allow people to come to me. So if that person came to me, I would help them. But I don't, you know, put myself out there. Hey, I really see some shit around you, and I want to give you a remedy. Nuh-uh. I stay away from that. I got, nuh-uh. I ain't even gonna mess with that. But I will see that on somebody, and that's, you know, also suicidal people will have a spirit on them that I'll see. And that's a little bit different. Yeah. So I see a lot of sad things. It's very rare, very, very rare. It's only in certain cities that somebody will hire me for entertainment. They're having a party, a corporate party, and the theme is Mardi Gras, and they want a fortune teller. Very rare. So my bookings are very serious mediumship stuff. Even in Baywitch, which I love that shop, Panama City, I get serious people in there. They're serious. It's a little shop, and I'm in the back, and I get serious people. You know, I think the universe sends them to me. But it's very, very rare somebody to just hire me just for dun, 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 you know, like that. So yeah.
Wow. Just work with.
Yeah.
I made the therapist speechless.
Well, I've been sitting, like, I've had this thought percolating for years and years and years. And I don't talk about it a lot because in our field, be like, what are you talking about? But I often wonder, right. And you kind of hit on this, that interchange between mental health and like spiritual struggles. I don't know how to word that, right? But like, I often think of like someone who's depressed or has behavior changes, like, what if it presents mental healthy, but what if that's not the resolution, right? I sit with that a lot. I don't know, like, again, like there's my wheelhouse and then there's your wheelhouse, and I don't have your skill set, but I often think about that, like, right? How much mental health stuff is spiritual struggle of some sort or some kind of entity, and how much of it is mental health. And maybe
Right. If they're not seeing a therapist and they're not medicated, and it's a regular wife who lives at home with kids or whatever, and she comes to me and says, I dream and it comes true. And I can just feel things. And she's talking about being, intuitive, and she wants to broaden her psychic development. That's a very sound person who's having a spiritual awakening. And she'll say, I've always seen imaginary animals, or I've had imaginary friends ever since I was a child. I could remember it. So it's like there are people that have a dormant, magical, spiritual side to them that's dormant because they're raising their kids. They're focused on this matrix, and then as soon as they allow a little bit of that third eye to open, there are some gifted people that awaken later in life. And that's because in my opinion, they got married early, and like the kids, I don't have kids, so I've seen women, how busy they are, and then they get caught up in the job and then another baby. There's no time for spiritual development, right? But so I'll get a lot of women 40 and over that are finally kind of awakening spiritually. It always starts with Reiki, or it starts with some type of pendulum work, or just their dreams. All their lives, or they dream and something comes true. So I get a lot of psychics that are in the closet, but they don't realize that they're spiritualists. They're gifted. They got a mediumship quality to them. And I help those women develop those abilities. So there are a group that come to me like that too, that come for, that no medication, no therapy, just right sound of mind. And they're like, all my life, my dreams have come true. And people think I'm crazy when I say it. And I'm just like, oh, you're a medium in the closet. You know what I mean? You're clairvoyant in the closet. You just don't know it. And I help them, and then we just get on a little schedule, and they meet me weekly or monthly, and we just I just facilitate their spiritual knowledge. We don't do magic or anything like that. We develop her qualities, her clairs. So yeah, I can imagine. I think as therapists, if I went to school and as a therapist, I think I would always intertwine astrology, the retrogrades, and recognizing something that's a real spiritual experience versus somebody who's batshit crazy. But that's not a clinical term. That's not a clinical term. But I would be able to decipher. I decipher now. I really can tell if they're psychic, if they're lost, if they got a dark spirit on them, if they really are cursed, or they're really medicated, or they're alcoholics and they are seeing things but they're not. So see, it's very deep, very serious readings. I really do. Even in the back at Baywitch, and you would think touristy and all that. No, they find me, and they got real questions and issues, and I love it. I really love to get deep like that with people and help them. I feel like I'm helping. So when people say, "Oh, in the Bible it says you can't be a divination, you can't be la 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 la," right? You read tarot cards, you go to hell. And you're this, and I say, you know what? We're all created in God's image. God is psychic. Okay, God knows everything. God is all knowledge. He's all the universe. He knows all of us. Why is it crazy to think there's some people that are gifted, or prophets, or have the gift of sight or prophecy, when we are made in God's image? God is psychic. He knows everything. So why wouldn't some of his children be psychics too?
Yeah.
So that's my answer to that. If I did not show any skills, my family would not have groomed me. I have cousins that didn't grow up like I did. They didn't have what my parents said, any type of gift like that. They would say, these don't mean anything to me, and they would throw the cards away or whatever. No, I was studying those little cards. I was, communicating with them. Yeah. Well, wherever that started, I don't know where it started. Now it ended. I went off on some tangent. I apologize.
Can we go back to for a minute? There was something you mentioned that I'm still processing about kind of the differences in the way you can see these entities on people, right? And you know, obviously, okay, so there's one kind of category, right, where it's a substance induced, right? Drugs,
Yeah.
alcohol,
Yes.
whether it's prescription drugs, illicit drugs,
Right.
recreational drugs, but something that has just tainted the energy body, right, in some way or another.
Right.
And then there's like
Right.
another category though, where it's like you mentioned the word, I think you used the word demon. Did you use that word?
Yes.
Okay. Can we talk about that? Because this has been something that I've had some conversations with other folks about too. And again, it's something that was not brought into my upbringing as a North Carolinian Methodist raised in the
Okay.
80s.
Okay.
Okay. So,
Right. Right.
but I'm curious about this. Like, what is this concept of a demon? Where does it come from? How do they get on folks? What's all that about?
How do we avoid them?
Okay.
Yes.
Right. You know, a lot of it is karma and it's karmic. Just like when people say their alcoholism runs in the family, right? It's a karmic demon that's probably been on that family for years. As they go, my mother was an alcoholic and my mother's mother, right, is alcoholic, because that's a karmic demon. And for every angel, there's a demon that matches that, is balance, you know. So those demons that are like addiction demons, I would call them. There's even, if somebody in the family has diabetes in the family, this is hypothetical, and everybody got diabetes in the family. Well, that's a bitterness demon. That's a karmic connection to that family that's making them ill. So that's why they all got diabetes. Okay. Now this is a spiritual, opinion. Okay. This is my, what I believe personally. Okay. So people get sick physically through a demon, karmically that runs through the family. And addiction is also a sickness. It's also, alcoholism runs the family, or they're all drug addicts in the family. It's a karmic demon that's been on that family. So it needs like a type of, I hate to use the word, but it's like a type of exorcism. That's the only thing that removes that addiction. And there's so few spiritualists that'll do that. And there's so few that I've done over 25 years. It had to be very extreme. But you can really, you got to get somebody that's very knowledgeable, that knows how to do that type of ritual. And if you don't, you're stuck with that karmic demon of addictions or sickness, especially when they say, oh, heart attacks run in my family. Mm-hmm. I rebuke that in the name of Jesus. Okay? That's what my inside voice says. But it's a demon attached to that family. That they need Archangel Raphael that heals the heart. That they need an archangel. I would recommend to them they need an archangel. So the demon will attack them physically, all through the family, or addiction-wise, all through the family. So ancestral. So if they say, "Oh, my mother was this," and my grandmother, that tells me right there they got a ancestral karmic demon, curse, whatever you want to call it. But it's the devil on their back in that family. Who knows how far that demon is comfortable in that family, that Kennedy family. So I often ask if people think that they're cursed, I ask what their last name is, because there's a lot of key letters and numerology, different things that sometimes they're born into. But so they are demons, but they're not at a high level. This is not Lucifer. This is not Morning Star. Satan is not Satan. These are little lowly gargoyle demons that just attach to this family. It's attacking it for decades, centuries. Who knows how far this demon's been attached to this family. If they say we've been alcoholics as far as I can remember, see, that means that demon's set in that family. It is set. But when people hear demon, they just think Lucifer. That's that's he got a lot of little minions. He got a lot of little minions that like to cause trouble. And there's protection for that, and there's remedies for that. But all that you're doing is keeping it at bay. pushing it back. You got to keep it up. You got to keep it up every full moon. You got to keep it up because the only other alternative is some type of exorcism. So remove that addiction demon that's causing physical illness or a drug problem that runs in the family. See, so it's both. It's this world is both all about numbers and numerology and astronomy and astrology and science, absolutely, and spiritual. It absolutely is a spiritual war out there, just like it is in this world. There's a war. Who's most competitive? Who's making the most money? Who's doing the war? Even the politics and all that, everything that's going on. The war in this world. It's the same war in the spiritual world. It's same, different. So I believe that knowledge is power. So the more that the clients come to me, and if I can help them and facilitate them and educate them on the spiritual world, logically explain it, articulately, I didn't even say that word correctly, say it articulate and explain it to them, and they're not crazy, and this is what they can do, this is what's available to them, then I'm of service. Because one day I'm going to see God, and God's going to ask me, Yvette, I gave you the gift of sight at a young age, and you kind of didn't like it. You said you're groomed. I heard that radio show, and God's going to say, what did you do with all the gifts that I gave you? And I am certainly not going to say, I got a great gig in New Orleans. So I do my best to help everybody. And I tithe, I volunteer my time with true crime divination, looking for cold cases, looking for missing people. I do that for free to tithe, to balance the money I make from doing readings. So then I volunteer my time either at the church or like volunteer time, literally, or do divination to help cold cases. So far, I found 7 dead bodies, and I'm trying to find somebody alive. But
Wow.
because I'm only given cold cases, they're very old cases too. So the probability of them being alive already is very slim. So the law enforcement that works with me are so desperate, they'll go to a psychic to try to help with this cold case. And I've located 7 missing bodies. And I had one mother thank me, and I was horrified, like, don't thank me. To me, I didn't find her alive, I don't deserve to be thanked. But the mom was like, we found her though, and now she's properly in our plot, and we got closure, and we didn't know where she was, and thank you, and everything. But inside, I always feel like I failed.
Mm. Yeah.
So I'm
so
going to
When
keep
you
on
do
doing
work
it. I'm
like
going to
that,
find somebody alive.
when you
Yeah,
do work
Find
like
somebody alive.
that, do you also, when you do work like that, especially when it's like, I don't know, my mind runs to all the horrible things that can happen to people. Do you get inundated with information on details of what happened to these people? And if that's the case, how do you manage that?
I completely can control it. That's with the experience of 25 years. So I open up for my download. That's the best way I can say it. And I get all the information about this person instantly. I write it all down. It's like an automatic writing. And then I locate. I do a locator. I look at a map. I got a lot of maps. I look at maps. I look at highways. And Spirit is instantly downloading. When the download is done, the door is shut. I get no more new information. Once I shut that door, like the Akashic Records door, once I close it, I can't get any more information. So now I go in and I look at where, when, how, who are the suspects, where's the body, what did she look like, show me the last few hours, show me all of it's downloading fast. I'm writing it down. I'm getting names, I'm getting letters, I'm getting places. And then once it's downloaded, that's it. That's all the information I got. And shut it down. I record it. I write it down. I write everything down, and I give it to law enforcement. And from there, like I said, they're so desperate, they'll look at any leads. And like I said, I've located 7 bodies that way. So uh, because I can control it, it doesn't haunt me,
Okay.
the story, you know. I get the download, I get the information, pass it on, next person. You know, I'm looking for somebody alive. I'm not going to stop until I find somebody and I save somebody's daughter. I save somebody's son. I save somebody.
Yeah.
Locating the body just makes me really sad. But they're thankful. And the police and law enforcement is bigger than the police. The law enforcement I work with, they're very thankful. But to me, it's a fail.
Mm.
It's a fail. I'm just gonna keep on doing it. So that's my balance of using the gift to profit, and I help people, but I do get paid very well. And then to help out of my own time and my own technique, my own divination technique I developed myself, original divination, and that's my way to I guess help. So I can tell God that so I started a group of mediums, and I'm teaching them my technique, and we meet monthly, and we're locating bodies, opening cold cases. And it's a private group, and they're all psychics and mediums at different levels. And I'm teaching them the technique, and then we're all working on different cases in different states, and all working at the same time. And we're gonna find somebody. We really are gonna find somebody alive, and then then I'll know. This was a project, a ministry, or something that needed to be done. So
Yeah.
that's how I'll be able to tell God. That's my balance. But I'm certainly not going to say I got a great gig in New Orleans, and that's all I did with the gift you gave me. Sorry, I said I was groomed. You know, I gotta apologize for that. Okay, but I do this on my free time, and I found this person, and I found a little baby for her mama, and she was so great. See, I'll have good stories to tell them. You know?
Yeah.
So that's so I guess it's like a little ministry, if you want to call it that. Well, my little nonprofit that I run with mediums, true crime forensic mediumship would be like the full term that we use.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I love that.
deep
And I
shit.
love and give back so much, right? I mean, whether it's paid clients or this free ministry, but just to be able to use your skills to help other people. Because like you said, you know, like us, we have to sit with heavy stuff sometimes, and people who are in
Yeah.
pain, and people really who've either been through a lot or going through a lot, and kind of to find that silver lining, I think is a beautiful
Mhm.
thing for you and for
Yeah.
them. And I'm sure that
Yeah.
helps you stay balanced so that you can continue to provide that hope for people. So I'm curious, kind of as we
Yeah.
wrap up, right? Is there anything that you might, I mean, I feel like we could talk for forever, but we're right on our hour, believe it or not. And
Okay.
is there anything that you would want for us, for our listeners to do, to not do, to try to like stay in our light, stay in our path, stay, you know, connected to the things that are of God and of the highest vibration, and away from these things that are not, right? What can we do? What might your recommendations and teachings be for just humans in general?
Is that don't lose faith, because life is ups and downs. We are happy, we have grief, we lose our mothers, we lose our fathers. Life is always going to be up and down. Don't lose faith. And when we say God, we refer to God as Him, right? But it's really the universe, the creator. So don't get caught up in labels that I don't believe in God, I believe in the universe. That is God. We are all connected. All of us, everything, the grass, the green, everything, you know. So don't lose faith when we have low times, and by losing faith and running to drugs or alcohol or sex or over, you know, just have faith that your ancestors and God is watching over you, and you can pray, you know, to your ancestors. You can ask them to intercede and to help. You can ask the saints. You can ask the angels. You can talk to God. If you're suicidal, you talk to Jesus. You talk to Jesus. He's a 911. He's there for you. And when people lose faith because they're so caught up in labels, Christian, Catholicism, this, shamanism, Buddhist, what, the creator, he's got your back. See, I said he, it's better than it, right? But it's a spirit. People lose faith, that's when they're in trouble. And they think they're alone, and depression and all that other sickness, and that little karmic demon grows because they lost faith. So, and in the Bible, it says all you need is a mustard seed size of faith. That's all God asks, is a mustard seed. And that would be my advice. Don't, when we go through low times and you lost somebody, or God must be mad at me because, you know, my mother died, or my dog died, or my cat died, God's mad. No, that's life. That's life. And we have ups and downs, and we get married and we get divorced, and animals die, and that's just what we're here to experience. But don't lose faith. There is somebody that loves you. There is a spirit that is watching over you. And that would be my advice to people globally, to keep the faith.
Yeah.
Love that. Love that. Okay. Well,
Good.
gosh, this has been so rich. Like I said, I feel like, I mean, we could talk for hours. Like, I want to like have dinner together, and
I know. I still have like
Hopefully.
1,000 questions.
I know. Well, I'm sure for our listeners, we're feeling the same way. How can they find you? Who are you on Instagram? What's your website? How do they look you up? And we'll tag you and things.
That's very kind of you. I'm on Instagram, Oracle Mrs. Smith. I'm on Facebook, Oracle Mrs. Smith. I'm on the Etsy, Oracle Mrs. Smith. I got the same. So, but my main platform is Instagram. That's my biggest following. I got 30,000 followers, and I really get, you know, a lot of messages through Instagram. On Facebook too, but it's mainly Instagram. And if anybody out there needs a little bit, a dream analysis or something like that, I don't charge for that. They could just write me and tell me their dream, and I can help analyze that a little bit for them. So, you know, I would love to help anybody that needs help. And if anyone has questions, if you get any, you know, listeners that write you and have questions, you know, anytime in the future, I'd love to come on and answer specific questions. You know,
Yes.
if anybody wonders something, you know, I'm very open because education and knowledge is power. So I really believe in that. So, so thank you, ladies. I feel so honored that therapists had me on. Like, you really helped validate, make me feel better too, because, you know, it's, you know, we both have both our feet in this water, you know. I'm sure you get spiritual people, and then I get people that need mental health therapists, and it's intertwined. So I feel very honored to be speaking with y'all. So thank you so much for having me on your show.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm really loving the idea of having people ask questions, and we'll just do a Q&A, because I might throw in some, and I'm sure people will have questions.
I would
Because,
love
you
that.
know,
I would love that.
yeah, I think there's, you know, bad marketing that's happened around, specifically the word occult, right? And what people
Right.
bring,
Right.
what that brings forth for people, and some misunderstanding. But I'm sure people have tons of questions, because
Oh, that would be, and I'd be happy to answer them. Yes, definitely. Yes, that sounds wonderful. And thank you so much, ladies. I know it was a long podcast, but it was so cool. It was so cool. So
thank
you
you.
so much.
Okay, wonderful.
Y'all have a good night.
Wonderful. Yes. Well, you have a wonderful afternoon, evening, and to all of our listeners, thank you so much for being here. Please do follow us, share this, and send us your questions. From our perspective, two therapist moms and a mic. Claudia is ClaudiaGlassman.com, and I am RobinKatieTruex.com.
Yes, and MightyOakParenting.com.
Finally, yes, Claudia is also Mighty Oak Parenting. We have to use both of her amazing websites. We finally have our podcast Instagram up too, so follow us there too. From our perspective, two therapist moms and a mic. And we'll see you next time.
Okay, bye everyone.
Bye-bye.